Who am I and where am I from? I'm an author. My name is R.M. Almonte, and I'm originally from New York, born and raised. And my parents are from the Dominican Republic. So they migrated back in the 1970s, before I was born. And so in the house, we only spoke Spanish, and then my brothers and sister would mix the languages between English and Spanish. And I ended up going to bilingual school, and I'm glad my mom never took me out of that program. Bilingual schools, both in elementary school and junior high school, which I'm so grateful now because it really helps to be able to speak both languages and even flip from English to Spanish. And I lived in Japan for about 12 years. Um, it was a quite interesting experience living there. It's completely different from the way I grew up and helped open up my mind. So anybody out there, I would suggest, like, if you never lived anywhere, go live somewhere for at least 6 months. So basically, lots of things with intuition, dreams, astral projection, and even be in contact by aliens through the dreams and stuff like that. And I do take a lot of my dreams and put them in the book. Of course, I change them up and stuff like that. How many books do I have? I have currently 5 books. 4 of them are sci-fi, and one of them is a kid's book. And you can find them all on Amazon, of course. The first one came out in 2012, and that one is called Scratching the Cosmic Conscious. And the second one is a part of a series. That's the beginning of the series. And that one is called United Earth, Earth Beginnings. And after that is Exile. And the last one is Despair and Hope. Now, I know that most of the time the saying goes hope and despair, but I reversed it. I felt that, most of the time the despair comes first, and then there's, hope to get you through it. So, and I have 2 more books that should have been done. One of them is the 4th part. I haven't picked a name for it yet. I'm still debating which name fits it best. And the second one also, that one is done, but I haven't done through the editing and send it to an editor and stuff like that. Part 4 of the United Earth, that one, hopefully by the time this airs, it will be done, completed, and on to the editor. That one has, I have 1,800 words to go on that one. So let me, as soon as I'm done with this interview, I should probably get back to writing. What inspires me to write? Inspiration is interesting because it comes from everywhere, like talking to you or walking in the street and stuff like that. You can get inspired by anywhere. But what started my journey in writing was back in 2002. I went to Japan with $800 in my pocket, stayed in a house. It was more like an apartment. And I lived in a small room, worked washing dishes. And I was walking one day, it was like a Wednesday. I remember this day vividly. I was with a friend of mine from New Jersey, and he was in Japan, kind of similar situation. We were walking to a club, and I remember walking like under this tunnel, and the tunnel is where cars like pass through and stuff like that, and there's an area for people to walk. And during that time, neither one of us really had much money to be taking the train often and stuff like that. So I was living in Japan 3 months, and we're walking, and I just felt, and I told him, I remember I turned to him and I said, I need to write a book. At the moment, I didn't know what I wanted to write about. So when I got back in 2006, I started writing, and it took longer than it should have. But that's what started it. What inspires a lot of the times the stories is also, I do a lot of research on UFOs and alien contacts and stuff like that. and I take their stories, not word for word, but a lot of the, especially with the aliens they say they talk to or seen or stuff like that, and put that into my books, especially in the United Earth. Not so much with Scratching the Cosmic Conscious. That one was inspired more basically by dreams and stuff like that. And in that story, Trevor, the main character, he meets an alien being who's a tree, but he's able to walk and talk and stuff like that. And I take a lot of the things from my own meditation practice that I learned, dreams, what dreams try to tell us and stuff like that. So that's where I get most of my inspiration. And also, like most sci-fi writers and most scientists, Star Trek was a huge play in becoming a writer, and just how well they these different species all coming together. And I feel like that's in our future. Tell you about Scratching the Cosmic Conscience. So like I was saying before, so Trevor is this young guy from the Upper West Side, actually the neighborhood I grew up at. And he basically starts having these dreams. So in the dreams, he's being told by these aliens to build this machine. And he meets his best friend, Shinaga, and he meets this other guy, and they build the machine. And he ends up going there and just really learning more about himself under the guidance of this being that I named Sequoia. So like I said before, he's the tree being. And just everything I've learned, through my own practices and reading books and stuff like that, I put into the story. So, when you get a chance, check it out. Hopefully you guys like it. Tell you about United Earth series. United Earth series is fun because when I started the book, it originally started as I wanted to write about going to like the center of the earth and more kind of like the story Journey to the Center of the Earth, and talking about the mythical city or the fable of Agartha and those kind of places. And when I started writing the story, it kind of took off into space more. He ended up building a spaceship. So that originally was going to be a standalone, same as, Scratching the Cosmic Conscience, which is a standalone. But it ended up that the story, I felt like it wasn't finished. And, writing this book, it's really been a journey, this series. I mean, it's really been a journey because it's taken into its own realm. And every time I think I'm going to go this way, the story ends up going that way. So, like I said, part 4 should be coming out soon. And what's that one about? That one, Stevie is the main character here, and he's from Newark. And the reason why I picked like him being from Newark, because I lived in Newark for about a year or so, and you get to see things in Newark that are, not great at all, and that inspired the story. So, his mom passes away when he's young. His dad's a junkie, and then he meets this character Vincent, who's a mechanic, and kind of helps him along. But at the same time, by him helping Stevie, he's helped himself so much. And he meets other friends, other main characters that come in that really have helped him build his dream. And they take off into space. When they take off into space, they meet different species that are real friendly, but then they meet one species that I call it, well, not really I call, but I got that also from UFO lore, which is the draconian reptilian aliens. And that's where things just start going kind of bad. And in part 3, things get worse. And in part 4 is pretty much the poop hits the fan. So for me, I feel like where Scratching the Cosmic Conscious is more about you internally, this one is more like social. And, originally I wanted to kind of avoid war, but it almost felt like it couldn't be avoided. Hopefully, in real life, in our future, when we first meet species, that this doesn't happen. But that's the way I've gone with the story. What books am I writing? And as I mentioned earlier, I'm finishing up part 4, and I have a time travel book, which is done. I just need to edit it and change some things around that I really didn't like. That I haven't named it yet, but that time travel book ends up coming from, I was doing this thing called NaNoWriMo, where you're supposed to write 50,000 words in 30 days. And I didn't hit the challenge, but I got 30,000 words down. And then later on, went back to it and finished it up. So that's what I'm working on that now. And then after those are done, I'm going to start working more on audio and putting all the books on audio, doing the narration myself. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Excited, always challenging yourself is very important, especially when you pick your career path and challenge to get better. So, I love listening to audiobooks. And whenever I'm out there selling the books, people ask me like, do you have an audio? Do you have an audio? So, and it makes sense because when you're driving, you put on an audiobook and people like that more. I personally like it too. I mean, I love reading, but of course, as a writer, I read. But audio is starting to make more and more sense. So, will there be a shift to only audio? No, I don't think so, because a lot of, especially the bookworms, I gotta say, guys, I love you, bookworms. They like their books. They like their physical books, and there are people who do Kindle. So I don't think it's gonna completely shift. Of course, it opens up the market to more people with the audio. What do I have coming up? All right, so I've been doing a lot of farmers markets, and if you go to www.rmalmonte.com, you'll find all the my schedule and stuff like that, and I'm always updating it. But what I'm really excited about is doing a book signing. So doing a book signing at this place that it was amazing because they really helped me out and he gave me a chance. And the place is called White Rose Books and More in downtown Kissimmee. And I'm sure they'll put the address underneath and stuff like that. And if you go to my website, you'll find how to get there. So I would really appreciate anybody who sees this video come out. You don't have to pick up a book, but where can people find me and my books? That's pretty easy. So like I said, my website, I'll say it one more time, www.rmalmonte.com. And I'm also, if you look on Instagram, you put RM Almonte, you'll find me. You can also find me on not TikTok, sorry, what's the name? Twitter. You'll find me on Twitter and under the same handle, and I'll pop right back up. If you go to my website, I have it all listed there, so you could just click on it. You find it easier. You can email me too. It's info@rmalmonte.com. To find my books, they're on Amazon. And also the great thing is because of the internet, you can go to any bookstore, ask some, put, for example, scratching the Cosmic Conscious, RM Almonte, and they'll find it and they can order it for you. Places that carry it all the time would be Amazon and White Rose Books and More. And not sure. I will definitely have them in more bookstores. So I'm in the middle of that, doing books and stuff like that. And I'm always doing lots of farmers markets and book fairs, whichever book fairs I could find, or any farmers markets. So last thing I would say is make sure, chasing your goals is not an easy thing, right? Especially Well, I could tell you about, chasing your goal as an author, as a writer. It's not an easy thing, but you have to be persistent. Um, you have to be consistent. And the last thing that I recently learned in this year was you have to do a lot, meaning you're always making moves. Um, just a vast amount of work towards what you're trying to do. So, for example, if you trying to find trying to get people to know about you, you need to try to get out there as much as possible. Just do lots and lots of work towards your goal. Um, the more you do, the more chances you are to get lucky and then catch a break. You know, Um, I always say that people don't really catch. I mean, they do catch breaks, but it's not like that break comes and knocks on your door and says, "Hey, did you want to catch a break? Here I am." Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to be out there and consistently doing as much as possible and hang out of it and be consistent with it and be persistent with it. Get back to people, call back people. So that would be the parting words I have to say to anybody who's out there chasing a dream, and don't give up, no matter how long it takes. But it's a vast amount of work that you want to put out there. So with that, thank you for everybody, and thank you for the interview. And everybody have a great week.